Well, thank you everyone for joining. And yeah, Sam, I'll just pass it off to you. Thanks for joining, everybody.
Thanks, Isaac. Well, hello everybody. It's nice to meet all of you. A few faces in here. I'm sure y'all have plenty of things going on, so not a requirement for video, but it's great to meet y'all. And Robin and Wilson, thanks for joining in with me on it. Well, as far as my background, who I am, has Isaac actually given you all any of that as far as like who I am and what I'm doing here?
No, man, I'm leaving it all on you. I figured I wouldn't be able to give you as good of an introduction as you'll be able to give yourself. So
no worries.
So I just
want to know where the baseline is, you know. Well, it's great to meet everybody. So my name is Sam Langford. I'm the state manager with Jet Closing. We're a title and escrow company. I was in your office just, I think it was just towards the end of June. It stopped in and met Isaac and showed him what we're doing. Jet Closing is on the forefront right now of just new innovation on technology and just overall trying to reinvent the process of title and escrow to just be more efficient, more effective, and adapting it for our 21st century experience. As you all have seen in the last year and a half, it's been unprecedented. Has been the most overused word I've seen yet, and it's been no shortage in our markets and in real estate. So this is the sort of time that pushes things into a new direction, and thankfully we got started on that a few years ago to be able to move us in the right path early. So I'll start by sharing my screen. I will also let you all know that there's going to be a couple poll items that I'm going to use here. So if you have a phone or if you have at your browser, we'll be going to a site called slido.com. It's SLIDO.com, and I'll put it in the chat. And easy enough, when you get to that site, you'll have to put in a little passcode, and it'll literally just be one for one realty. And while you're all doing that, I'll pull up. Actually, Robin, if you're the organizer, could you give me permission to share my screen?
Nope, that's me. I'm on it.
Oh, Rachel, sorry.
Yep, you're fine. There you go.
I got Robin's face and an R and then went right to it.
That's, we, both share the R for that very reason.
Here we go. All right. So gonna share this. Y'all should be seeing the screen now. And just be prepared. I'm going to be calling names out. So if you're muted now, I'd love to have your participation in here, so it's not just me talking at y'all for the next little bit. But to get things started, I just want to be able to break the ice a little bit, get to know all of you, and so you can get to know me as well. We're going to be starting it off with diving into what was the oldest habit or hobby that you had that you picked up during quarantine. And let me know if anybody's having, is everybody good on logging in to Slido?
I am driving, so I will probably be participating verbally. Yeah.
All right, I can relate with that one, hardcore. About half my wardrobe's out now. All right, I got one person in here with me. Is anybody else having issues, or is it all good on your end?
I'm just having trouble thinking of a habit.
It's legal now. You can say it.
It's been stressful, Craig.
All right. How much has drinking gone up? Anybody know that percentage? I think that they report. I've heard reports of that being astronomical.
Well, that's what I was thinking, but I was like, I'm not going to put that in there.
It's a safe space, Rachel.
Rachel's like, my bosses are on this
No.
call. Like, what is the appropriate? Is this a safe
Consumption.
zone? Like, consumption, overconsumption.
Not having to put on pants for meetings. Hell yeah. I feel like that's a bonus though. I don't know if it's odd or not. I swear I'm
I never really have.
Even in office, Craig?
True. Just left. Was in shorts. Summer is straight shorts.
My wife and I's one was we'd have some random dance-offs in the kitchen. That was a new and an odd one that we had picked up.
I'll
But
be
we're
right
both
back. I
work
gotta
from home now,
take this
so
call.
all right.
gotta
Well,
tell
I
this
won't
person
I won't push on this one
I'll
too
be
long.
right back.
What was that, Craig?
I'll be right back. I gotta tell this person when I'm arriving.
Fair.
But
All right. Well, show a little bit for you all. I just wanted to show who I am. So this is my wife, Sarah, and I. We had a pretty eventful quarantine. We had got married in the middle of quarantine, and I'm sure you all will have some sympathy for me on this one that we actually had to get married. We found out 2 weeks to closing on our first home that we would have to get married in order to get approved for our loan. And so we had to round that one up in the matter of a week, get married, and then close on our first house. So it was an eventful one to say the least. And then these are our little pups and our cat Molly. So this is Olive on the left, and that's Pepper on the right, and then little Miss Molly. And it's right when we got our first house. So diving into like the title and escrow side, I know this is like kind of right at the soft spot, the area that gets a little bit sensitive is right at closing. And I just wanted to get a little traction and get a gauge from all of you in where things are the easiest, where they're the hardest, and starting first with just those painful parts of title and escrow. So first thing right off the bat is just flat out getting title cleared.
I would say communication with clients is really, really important. Clients, when clients come to us with title questions and we tell them to, like, you should really talk to your title expert, and then they can't get a title expert on the line. That's a big problem.
Right. And then who gets the blame when communication is lacking?
Well, after this meeting, it'll be you.
But they always, lean back on the real estate broker, even if it's a lender question. So we just got to make sure that they understand that we're real estate and facilitate, and that they need to talk to their experts. So we try to get them to communicate with a title company or escrow company on these items that come up. And I think there's just so much email contact and no phone contact, and they don't, it's a cold situation. They don't know them. So that relationship is strange. And I just tell my clients, hey, you're paying for title and escrow, and they need to give you the customer service. So don't be afraid to call them. But it'd be better if, there was an introductory call, I think, and let them know they're going to get a bunch of different emails, whether it's a buyer or seller, what it's about. The other thing is that I think title doesn't send out to the clients. I don't know. I think it's a legal thing, but they'll forward everything to the real estate brokers, and then we have to forward it on to the client, which puts it back in our ball court.
Absolutely. A lot of the back and forth there, Craig. And it's such a true point, though, about the transaction itself can be really cold. And when people don't know who to turn to, the very first person they're going to do is the one they're safe with and that they know. So I hear you. See, anybody else have a painful part for closing? The options we have here on Slido, if you don't have it up, are that communication, the clearing title, timing, and then security. I'll talk a little bit about the security piece. All right, well, we'll dive into those ones. And as we go through this, we have one other Slido piece, but we'll hustle through if we don't have everybody in here for those. So the question with this now is, if you had a magical wand, what would you have happen in the closing process to improve it?
I think, again, it goes back to what we were talking about, but when the real estate broker is showed a bunch of homes or on the listing side, in the beginning, we have pretty, first 10 days, some heavy transactional communication, and that I'll always tell people it's going to fall off and you're going to end up being in touch with your lender and then title and escrow. And we're kind of at the end, the ones that are going to be reminded by you or title escrow the lender when people are going to sign. And, if I had a magical wand, then I would say that title and escrow would pick up that communication, keep us all feeling like, it's not a crickets are chirping and silent out there.
And are you, for that crickets chirping part, where is that the most impactful for you, Craig?
It's the last half of it. If it's 30-day closing, it's the last 15 days that we just need to be built up and edified and, hey, here's an email. And of course your real estate broker's in the loop, but we're reaching out to give you an update. We're constantly keeping them informed all the way through, and then we get mutual acceptance, and we're behind the scenes and not knowing everything about the appraisal. Craig Benson does a good job at that. But then title and escrow, we're not, it's just straight emails that come through, and then not till the last minute, when docs are coming in, is there any heavy communication? So just something to make.
I think a good way of putting it would be that, so like as real estate brokers, we all know that no news is good news. After the inspection, pretty much we're waiting for the appraisal. There's nothing really going on, but the buyer or the seller, they don't know that. They're in the middle of the biggest purchase or biggest sale of their life, and they have no idea what the heck is going on. And so it'd be nice if somebody else is communicating with them regularly. I encourage all of our agents to do that, to, contact them at least once a week, but probably 2 or 3 times a week, and just say, hey, still waiting on the appraisal, and so on. So, the more communication, the better. It makes us look better when, title is doing that.
You bet. The way I've kind of noted it here was that, like, people owning their actual spaces in the process and making it clear to the buyer and seller who's owning what and where. And then we also had the this additional piece coming in of getting notifications when things have closed and recorded when we're done, so everybody can just know what the heck is going on.
And I think that, at least with Fidelity, I use Fidelity a lot. There's good communication. I've had other escrow companies the same. There's clear communication when we're released to record, when we've closed, and then do you want to call the client yourself? I don't think that's too bad. I just think it's pretty amazing that especially title gets paid a pretty good clip, and escrow tends to take a lot of their communication on, even though it's on the title side. I guess if I was to express anything, it's pretty shocking that title gets to collect the fees they do and not communicate unless called upon.
Fair.
It's like, here you go. Here's a boilerplate of exceptions. We took them from the auditors, and here's one for the lender. And if nobody calls us, great. We'll just keep on processing these.
Well, like an example of that, I just had a closing, and there was a lien on file, and it was not clear. It's Tacoma Public Utilities, and the buyer's broker called me, and he's like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And anyways, it was just my sellers had gotten a loan for the new furnace, and just like a little just some more clarity, translation of what we just see lean, and if brokers aren't even able to figure it out, sometimes it would be nice if hey, here's the title report. By the way, you'll notice there's an abnormal lien. No big deal. This is a $10,000 furnace that will be paid out of closing, and that's what that is. That would be helpful.
Awesome. Thank you, Isaac. Well, hey, let's jump right into the nitty-gritty here on what we're doing, because really at the end of the day, I'm going to be asking a lot of these questions because the whole point of what we're trying to do is solve them. And ultimately that's what all of you want as well, is just have a clear, concise process where buyers and sellers are getting good, solid updates and are in a part of the transaction versus kind of the third party while everybody else is doing a thousand different things behind the scenes. And I think too that you all are seeing that buyers want that more as well. They're not as confident or comfortable anymore of just being in the, oh, trust me space. They always want to have the details and figure out what's going on. And you're generally the first person that they're going to reach out to for that. So let me show you a little bit about Jet Closing and what we're doing. So number one in this is that communication piece. Now, ultimately, how you get that communication is just making sure that it is happening is the most important part to it. And we want to be able to get ahead of that as much as possible. So first things first is on those title reports. So title reports for most agents are not going to be that leisurely read that they want to go through every night and figure out what's going on with the property. And to what Isaac was just saying of like, I just want to know off the upfront what's going on with our title and where are we at. So you'll always look around, you'll see that we have these letters whenever you sign into the Jet Closing portal. So if you were to sign in, this would be the first place you land. You're going to have these letters that give you the Jet score, which is our proprietary artificial intelligence that goes in and starts that process of reviewing title and what's going on with it. And he give you a fancy score so that you can see, all right, where does my attention need to be and where do I apply it right now? Now, as you're filtering through these, you can always switch it around of looking at, all right, what specifically is in escrow right now? What do I just have on market? What's in our pre-listing? So that you can start nailing it down because your pipeline will fill up pretty quick. Now, when you jump in and you want to see what's going on with a file, for this case, I'll just use one of my demo ones. So this is over here in Anytown, USA. And in every single file, you'll get the same experience. And the whole point of this is to make sure that you don't have to try to guess about where you need to look or what's going on. So when you jump into this experience, it should feel a lot like a shopping experience. The same folks who designed the Amazon app are the ones who went and designed ours. So the idea here is if you're just tracking right through on a transaction or you're tracking a shipment your way. So you'll always get those updates here on the left-hand side in the progress bar. And just so that you can get a better idea of what this looks like, I'll pull up one of my orders right now. So if I was going to jump in here and I can see my progress of where we're at, and let's say Earnest Money, this is a hot topic generally right at the front. It's going to be the first hurdle to get right over. And when we're going through the Earnest Money, you can see every update that we get as far as sending it out, asking for it, getting it back, and knowing that we have that Earnest Money deposited and you get that check off in there. That'll happen at every point down the transaction until we're actually at the funding and recording piece. Now, as you're going through these, you have the option too, when you jump into the Jet Closing app, it can be on your phone or on your computer. You have the option that you can go in and have the notifications turned on to get those automated updates in your phone once we have that signing completed, or when we're requesting something from your end or from the seller's end, you'll get those updates. Now, a bonus with this is that you also have the freedom that you can share this app with your buyers or with your sellers. So with the clients on the transaction, they can go in and they can track this progress as well and see when there's something that we're waiting for on their end. So the whole goal here is so that if you're up late at night, you're trying to figure out what's going on with this transaction, you don't have to worry about getting on the phone and calling somebody. You have it right there and available for you. You can just pull it up on your phone and check it.
So this is app-based and text-based?
It's not going to be text-based. The app, it will just come up with like a notification on your phone. It'd be like if you had a Facebook open and Facebook had a message come through, it would give you a notification like that.
Okay, but it is app-based then.
Yeah, exactly. And everything that we're doing is powered by what we call the Jet Cloud. So we operate our cloud services through AWS, or the Amazon Web Services. Now, the whole point of this piece is security and fast updates. So on one hand, those fast updates, anytime that we have something upload into the cloud, it is distributed immediately across everybody involved on the transaction that needs it. And on top of that, you have the added security piece. So I don't know if any of you have been seeing what's been up in the news in the last couple of years, but you probably have experienced it firsthand at a time or two. But fraud is a big piece right now in the real estate industry. And especially when we look at these auxiliary units like title and escrow and mortgage and all these other units that are a part of the transaction, there is a lot of sensitive information and personal information that can make people a lot of money when they can exploit it the right way. So one of the largest frauds right now in the US that's growing exponentially is wire fraud. So with Jet Closing, we do all of our wiring through a company called Certified ID, Certified. And Certified will actually go through and they operate entirely in an app. They never do anything over email. And you have to go through a few extra steps to verify that you are who you are. But ultimately, you have that guarantee by the end of it that each person on the end of the transaction is the right one and the right person who's saying that they are who they say they are. But we've had, there's been multiple companies that have had to deal with the wire fraud. We have also seen breaches in their security systems. Ultimately, the industry is pretty archaic in a lot of ways. So, I mean, there are still those locations around the US that are operating with the server inside the room. They have their files with everything printed out on paper. And there are reports of people legitimately going in and just stealing those. And I know that that's not going to be a common thing in our area, but security for your people are going to be crucial. And through our systems, we have one kind of gateway that gets protected, and that is deeply protected with AWS. Amazon needs to keep a good rep, and we need to keep all of you secure. So a little bit of a tangent for you, but I mean, as far as the changes that we're putting in place, they're happening at a very quick rate, but ultimately are there to keep people secured and protected, as well as getting you updated along the way. Before I jump to the next piece, do y'all have any questions about like tracking your progress or the security that we're offering?
Nope.
Oh. All right, so the next piece here, let's look at this Jet score. So I talked a little bit about it, but you can always click in and you can see a little a breakdown of what those actual grades are. So every close we want to get to by the end of it is hitting that letter A, where we have everything cleared up. There's no curative action that needs to be taken. But most properties will land in those B's and C's. That's just with like those basic liens that you see in place, or little like HOA payoffs and things of that nature. And anytime that we do see what's going on, so this one's graded at a C, and you can see all the issues that need cleared or paid to be cleared for closing. And as we go down this and we finish the transaction, you'll continue to see that crossed out. And you'll always get an estimate of what the closing date is looking like. And if there is anything that needs to change with that, that'll update there. Now, for everybody who likes to keep track of what's going on, the documents are a really helpful space. So as any documents come in for escrow, then we'll get those added in right here. And if you ever need to add a document, it's super simple. You just go in, you can drag and drop right from your browser or from your email. And these documents will remain in place for 7 years. So if at any point there's an audit, It's super simple and easy to go back in, and you can pull files as needed. And basically, if you click it, it'll download, and then you get a PDF right there and available that you can jump right into. And last piece of just contact, of knowing who to reach out to. These ones are going to be available on the right-hand side for every transaction, and everybody who's involved in the transaction is going to be located on that contact sheet. And if you ever need to send an email, all you have to do is click it, and it'll send, and you'll pull up an email to send to somebody. All right, y'all. So, I mean, that is the experience as far as managing through and tracking your files. Does anybody have any questions about those, or what questions do we have? Cool. Should be pretty simple, right? It's kind of the whole idea here is user friendly, just keeping it simple.
Yep, I think that the tiles and pictures are, as we all know, much better than reading exception B and a bunch of legal jargon.
Agreed. All right, y'all. Well, I'll show you just a couple more items here as far as what we offer and what we're doing. So as far as the calculators, I imagine most of you are kind of just using the MLS calculator for if you need like seller net proceeds. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll ask Escrow for it, but yeah, typically just online.
Okay. So you'll see this this calculator, the net proceeds is the most common one that you'd see. But you can also do a fee sheet for if you wanted to show buyers and sellers both ends of it. But I'll just use my address here as an example for it. But it works just like a Google, like if you're Googling the property. So you just put it in and it'll start making suggestions for you of what the property is likely to be. Once you hop in though, you just confirm this is the case, that is the right property. And then it's super easy to just go in. Let's say we're doing really well and we wanted to go in at 550 for our sale. Let's see if my keyboard likes me or not. So 550, let's say we have to do 350 on the payoff. Taxes are going to be automated, but you can always go through and you can make adjustments on those. And same thing for broker comps. It just automatically puts it at 6%, but you can go through and you can make adjustments to that as well. And if you have any additional closing costs or concessions, you can put those in, but from there you just hit calculate. And once it does calculate, it'll have a printable or emailable PDF. So you can just send it right from there. You can also just save it right to your computer. But you get your breakdown on what this would look like. So we have an estimated close at 9.2, breaks it down for us, the 550 total, 350 payoff. It'll automatically prorate some of the taxes in there. And you see here the title and escrow fee. So our premiums are always going to be competitive to what's going on in the area. Our escrow fee is really one of those big difference makers for us as far as what we're offering. So because we're able to save a lot on the overhead costs of being a primarily digital company and using really effective tools like the Jet Score to get quick info, this allows us to offer a flat rate fee. That flat rate is at $800 aside for escrow, and it'll never have additional fees on top of that. Most notable one is the notary. So any notary services that need to happen will get covered in that flat escrow fee. And we do make it our #1 goal to try to get all of our signings digital when we can. And if it's not possible to do it digitally, then we'll pay to have a mobile notary come to your sellers or your buyers to do that signing. And that can happen anywhere in the United States. We'll go and meet them. And a good example of where this came in really in handy, we had a buyer who was set to close in about a week. And they were on their way home from driving from Virginia back to Seattle. And we were about to have to organize to meet them partway through this journey just to get their signing done in another state in the middle of a road trip home. So it pays off, and it's pretty dang handy when we need it. But if you wanted to, you could just download this and you could email it right off. All right. Any questions before I go to my last piece? Cool.
I think we're good.
Last one is if you just need to submit a new order. So if you prefer, or if it is a big thing for you to send it in an email, that is absolutely doable. It's not a difficult thing in any way. However, if you do like to be self-service and you don't want to have to wait on somebody or email something to somebody, you can always go through and you can start title right through your portal. So again, I'll just put in my house. Confirm it. And from here, it's just a matter of getting that listing package going. Generally, you're going to start on your preliminary title. And then if you wanted to, you could do a home book as well for some of those listings that were a little bit more competitive. You really wanted to kind of earn your keep and make sure that you're locking that one in. These are going to be packed with a lot of information. You get the property detail report, any transaction history, neighbors report, last transfer docs, and the assessor's map in this. And that's $15 just because we have to with RESPA regulations. So essentially we pack so much value into it that RESPA said you have to go in and follow that up with a cost, and 15 is the minimum. But once you have clicked what you need, you just hit submit and it sends your order right through, and that'll start the title process. So
Seems
really,
pretty easy.
yeah, that's the goal. What other questions, comments? All right. Well, I'll put a pause there then. If there is anything else I can do, I'd be happy to jump in. But Robin, I can kick it right back to you.
Awesome. So if you can just make sure to send Rachel all your contact information, we will upload this to our YouTube channel if you're okay with that. It is a private channel that we put this on, so our agents are really the only ones who would find it. But is that all right with you?
Oh yeah, that's no problem.
Okay, cool. And then, yeah, we'll send your information around to all of our brokers, and I think we've got some good stuff here.
Perfect. If you do have any follow-up questions, you can always reach out to me and I'm happy to help.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sam. We appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot. Take care.